they won't protect the vulnerable children who can't even ask for a tin of beans or anything. The church has failed Oldham and this country. The Anglican Communion uses the excuse, oh, it didn't happen in our church. Did it not, Daniel Burton? When it does, will you speak out then? But you wouldn't let me just come and tell everybody about the safeguarding risks that are being ignored in Oldham. My Ofsted, you should be concerned about that alone. They're a regulated body that are there to protect every child in this country. Yet you don't think it's anything to do with you, but we all have a responsibility to protect the children, the vulnerable by age, especially when they're under 5 and cannot speak out for themselves. I've had Reverend Daniel Burton say I was a conspiracy theorist when I first met him, because that's how they don't like people who tell the truth. Well, I'm sorry, but the gospel speaks louder than eagles.
I hope you're not videoing anything.
I am.
You're not allowed because you haven't got permission off me,
Right.
and you haven't got permission off
We're
the people
in
that.
the
So we'll
public area.
We'll take
We're in
you
a
to
public.
court
Right,
because
fair
if you
enough,
put
fair
a picture of me on there,
fair
you're going
enough,
to court
don't
next.
touch it. We're in a public area. It's all right. It's all right.
Shut up!
Hey.
Yeah, you shouted at me, didn't you? You shouted at me.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Taking me to court, really? If you raise your hand at me, fake it. You're in a public place. You're in a public place. You can do what you want.
Sorry, man. Wow. The aggression. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? Oh, Julie, honestly. Honestly. We're all on, I'm on TikTok live. Yeah. They all just sing that. Oh my God, honestly.
We've had abuse from a gentleman within the
Raising his hand. Raising his hand.
raising his fist against us. It isn't us. It was a Church of England and coming up.
Yeah, he just said he can't take the picture. I said I'm in a public place, mate. You can't stop me.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. We're alive. We were live.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let it go live, John.
He certainly has. He certainly has.
You might stop my food back there, but I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered.
Was he the church boss? Is he the boss?
Church.
Right, right.
What is he to join? Find out who. He's the church.
Right, we've only just started, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
We've only just started. And so who was that? Who was that? Who was that? Oh, right. So a member of the public being a bit aggressive. He has had his Weetabix, Angela.
He's snouting the holy trough, that's all he said.
Right, Dan, what's going on is we're protesting against the Church of England for not speaking up during the child sexual exploitation scandal in Oldham. As well as, we know that the church is full of woke, bigots and all that lot. The church is full of them. But they didn't speak out in Oldham over child sexual exploitation. And people approached them to support them. Now everyone in the council agrees it went on. So why didn't the church get involved and support that sentiment? And they still haven't supported that sentiment. So Peter's in there and he's in his right to call them out. He's in his right to call them out. Thank you very much, guys. Bit of action to start off with there. We're at the church, as you can see.
It sounds like it's kicking off. He's just gone to see the convulsion because they're having a go at Peter and Julie.
So we're outside the church. You can see a couple of banners. Them are what Pete's brought up. Now, we've had a child sexual exploitation scandal in Oldham. Peter and Dolly have approached the church to get the church to support
Under 5.
the members of public and Dolly's case in under 5s, and they haven't done nothing. Even though all the council are agreeing that we need a national inquiry, even though all the council agree that something went on, the church didn't do nothing when people had approached the church. So that's why we're here today.
No, I don't heard of this a lawyer.
Yeah, he says the lawyer, you have to ask him about his show. Here is all public. Public upward. Can you photo me because of copy? Why? Because of No, I don't come up there. You have to ask him.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
You say someone photo you like this.
Right up to John.
He says the lawyer.
So that's why we're here. That's why Peter is here. And let me just say, right, Peter has joined the Reform Party, went up seeing the Reform people, and nobody come down to support him in Oldham yesterday. It would have been a good opportunity to get some photographs, bring a few leaflets and talk to members of the public. There was nothing extreme on Peter's banner. He wants accountability, honesty and transparency out of his council. That's what we want across the country. We want Bradford Council to be transparent with a 10% council tax hike. We want Birmingham Council to be transparent. It's on its knees, the biggest council in Europe. And we want Oldham Council to be transparent and honest. And it's not much to ask. When we pay these people's money and they govern us, we want this. And what you'll find is that the council is its own judge, jury and executioner. That's what you find. And there is no transparency and there isn't that much honesty. And there isn't any honesty in any of the candidates running. You get honesty off me, but you won't get honesty off them. Yeah, you won't get honesty off them. Interesting there. Just gone in there was the Oldham Chronicle boss, the CEO, a man who's been barred from going to council meetings. And please tap the screen, guys. Like, Big John here. Exactly, Tony. Why no investigation into Archbishop of Canterbury when he knew that one of his besties and all that lot was a paedophile and he never thingy. Tony, we want accountability for this. I don't want to bring the church down. I want them to be honest and transparent. You're right, Tony. We want them to be honest and transparent. That's what we want. I'm not having a go at Christianity. I'm having a go at the church leaders, and we want them to be honest and transparent. But remember, Oldham Council's been through a child sexual exploitation scandal. Everybody, the police, the council, Andy Burnham, all the MPs know that it's gone on and accept that, right? But the church never did nothing, and the church never supported members of the public when members of the public go to. You know, I would expect, being a prominent member of the community, that my church leader would listen to me. Because that's what I would do if I was a minister. I would listen to my parishioners. If they had issues with child sexual exploitation, I'd be bringing it up in the council. I wouldn't be ignoring it because it's politically correct. I would bring it up in the council, and that's what we want off our bishops, our pastors and all that. We want them more engaging with the community instead of to be politically correct or woke. You know what I mean? Or the sacrifice of putting a woke flag on top of the church. We demean our women who are adult human female. Then what's the church doing? It's countering that, and it's joining in demeaning women and changing what the pronouns of a woman is and stuff like that. And we don't want that. We want a woman to be an adult human female, but you know, we want transparency and we want accountability. Good question on the Archbishop of Canterbury. Should be investigated. And it looking like he knew that his mate, that Smythe guy, I think he was, Dlive or Smythe, was a crooked pedo. He knew that. And in Rochdale, when the Cyril Smith abuse scandal came out, there was an inquiry. And the inquiry found that the Labour leader, the then Labour leader, Richard Farnell, knew that abuse was going on in them homes in Rochdale, but he never got convicted of anything. He never got kicked out of the Labour Party. He got removed as leader of Rochdale and then moved working underneath Joe Anderson in Liverpool. And what we know about that is that 100 million has gone down in dodgy deals. So, you know what I mean? Who are these people? The amount of allegations and convicted sex offenders type thing in our political MPs is astounding. Yeah, do you want a bit right, hold on, Peter, the legendary Peter Brown. Who you fighting to? Pete, I only just put my video on before and that guy's right in my face.
No, listen, don't put his picture out there, cut that bit out. Right, so let me get my office in order.
Send it all yours then. Yeah. That's it, that's what I've put the picture of.
Well, go off, right?
It's all yours.
You can keep with us. Yeah.
You've got to try and stay. It's only on shot, so it's only I've got one person. But if you want to jump in, then
no,
well,
right. Dolly can.
And just look at that and talk to it.
We're here once again outside Oldham Parish Church because we've been denied for the fourth time to speak. A 71-year-old man, myself, and a 64-year-old lady who got sacked for whistleblowing for safeguarding the under-5s at a Methodist church. Now, it's no use all these churches saying we're all together, because we're not all together. Because if we were all together, we'd all want to the truth. But when I sent the paperwork into GMP Police, I politely informed the Canon Daniel Burton, who's took over this parish over a year and a half ago. Now, we've asked 4 times to speak to the PCC, and we've been denied it. We've been refused it. Had we been allowed, there would have been no campaigns, no protests to get to the truth. Now, it's no use the Canon Daniel Burton stating that he did ask, politely ask, so he says, to the PCC that we should be allowed to speak. And yet, 3 weeks ago, when he informed him that the Church of England, this church, would be under further protest, he said, why? It's an historical matter. It's been dealt with. It has far from been dealt with. It's been like the Eubank. It's been brushed under the carpet. It has been far from sorted out. You know, I mean, in their homes, they must have a great big hump in the carpet where all this has tried to be buried. No, it's still out there. But when he says, when you come to your senses, you'll realise that it's going to go nowhere. When I come to my senses, I have been brought up a Catholic, a Christian, who's respected all denominations, no matter who they are. But when I read in the press, and he said it's been historic, it's been dealt with, and this is the Yorkshire Post that has done fantastic work since January this year in bringing and highlighting sleazy bishops and clergy for child paedophilia.
Just repeat now, 2 minutes, why you are here, what you're fighting against. People want to know. Listen to this, Elizabeth.
Fighting because of the cover-up that this church, when we've asked for help, before Canon Daniel Burton, when we've asked for help to get to the truth regarding why a clergy, and in a letter from the Archdeacon of Rochdale then, that the clergy, Canon Earlston, who's retired now, was the eyes and the ears to the Bishop of Manchester, when over 100 residents were screaming out in the public gallery regarding a public inquiry into child sexual exploitation. Now I want to know, what did the Bishop of Manchester do? Did he have a letter? Did he write to all the parishioners? Because he had his eyes and ears, who was stood in here until they got another reverend, presided from this Oldham Parish Church. That's why we're here. Been a cover-up. And the denial to speak to the PCC has brought this. Now, when I come here, and we came here last year, I don't want congregational members who has been informed to Canon Daniel Burton of telling us to F off. And today, a lady come in, was shaking a stick at me very aggressively. The paperwork's gone in. We've done nothing wrong. The Church of England have covered up their own mistakes and they want to sweep it under the carpet. Well, unfortunately, it can't happen. Apologies haven't been properly done. And when in the Yorkshire Post, the former church of bishop in Wales, the Dean Thomas Welch, has just been jailed this week, we're on the news, for sexually abusing a boy under the age of 16. And the judge said he was a groomer. How many more groomers have been in the Church of England and other denominations? And had it not been for the courage of those who spoke up, because they didn't think they'd get anywhere, because it's that high within this Church of England and others that they think they're untouchable. On the BBC in August 2024, the C of E paid a Canon Hindley a 6-figure payoff because he was assessed as a potential risk to young children. We can't get to know how much it is. They've kept it secret. And yet there's a young lady who'll be on in a bit who, well, she's 64, she's a young lady.
Still young.
She's still young, who was sacked for whistleblowing. She got nothing. She's been fighting for her stamps that are need to her on her pension. And it says Ian Elliott carried out safeguarding reviews of all religious groups across the world. And in his statement, he stated at Christmas that the C of E was not a safe place for children. Now, like I say, it was only this week that the Bishop of Wales, now there were a gentleman on the news, an elderly gentleman, and he were in tears, and he said that that man married him and his wife. So the disgusting man who married, and he thought he were having God on his side, he thought he were having a church wedding, you know, for his own religious beliefs, they were a paedophilia. How do you think people go on? That's the reason why we're out here. But when we're abused, when we are abused in this church, by taking the sticks, being shouted at, by being told to F off, you hypocrites. And it states on here that the Bishop, Helen Ann Hartley, has said
Go on, Peter.
Right.
Sorry about
I hope
that.
you're on
Sorry
a
about
swivel
that.
there, John. I hope you need to be on a swivel. And it says it will take somebody with a bit of steel and resilience to grasp these dysfunctional neckles at the heart of the church institution. And I think people are looking for one, a bit of leadership and clarity from the church. Yet they won't let us speak to the PCC. So I don't know how many there are on the PCC at this church. There could be 5, there could be a dozen, but there's 2 elderly people. And we've even got members of the public here condemning us. We did nothing wrong. Why is it that instead of sacking, instead of bringing to light and holding these paedophilia clergy to account, you promote them and pay them off?
Yeah, well, you know, Pete, right, I've just said to people, Pete and Dolly, let's get Dolly in front there. Both of these two have been to the church and asked them to support them. Yeah, all the council want an inquiry into child sex, so they know it's going on. But why don't the church help them? Why don't the church speak out? That's what we want. We want to speak for the members of the public. These 2 members of the public have approached the church leaders about the situation going on in Oldham, and they haven't done nothing, guys. They haven't done nothing. That's what's winding us up. Instead of supporting the people of Oldham, the church could have spoke out in the council and demanded an inquiry years ago, couldn't they?
They could have done.
And the under 5s, I've been fighting this under 5s for nearly 12 years now, and they covered that up. Ofsted have covered it up, and they won't let me have any benefits or any employment rights for speaking out to protect the under 5s.
And remember, guys, it's not just the child sexual exploitation. Dolly, under 5s, was a whistleblower. She spoke out against safeguarding issues, and then she was silenced and intimidated. Peter, as well, he's speaking out against the church, nothing to do with rape gangs, but the church and their accountability on paedophilia and stuff like that. That's what we're speaking out, and nobody listens to us. Nobody wants to accept accountability, do they? It
first set off, John, when there was the outcry in the public gallery, when the review was being read that were done by Andy Burnham's highly trained specialist team that was a whitewash, and over 100 screamed out in the public gallery. Now, the Canon Jean Earlston then, I believe she's retired, was representing Speaks Out, prayers, like the Church of England has Canon Daniel Burton do now. Why was she there? Now, in a letter from David Sharples, now once again retired, who was the Archdeacon of Rochdale, she was there because she was the eyes and the ears to the Bishop of Manchester. Well, we wrote to the Bishop of Manchester, and unfortunately, my opinion, he threw his own Archdeacon then under the bus. He stated that the matter has been dealt with, it's been closed, and yet, just months before, the Archdeacon of Rochdale, then David Sharples, said there was nothing I could do. So the Bishop of Manchester threw in his own Archbishop under the bus. Absolutely scandalous. What are you frightened of? What are you frightened of? And all it wants is a letter that the Bishop of Manchester said about the child paedophilia clergy. He must have wrote one. He has to have wrote one and sent to all the churches, C of E. Read it out. Bring me a copy. Let me read it to see whether you've actually acted upon it or it's still going on. Now, the Canon Daniel Burton said, when I notified him politely of the protest, I kindly told him what we were going to do, and yet he never gave me a thanks. He said, when you come to your senses, when I come to my senses, it's when you lot want to stop covering up and protecting your paedophilia clergy.
Can I just say, little Julie has seen off the police. Little Julie has seen off the police. There she is. They've scarped her. Actually, a couple of good words and bringing her phone out. They soon ran off. I can't believe it, honestly, guys. I'm only outside the church. Didn't expect to be threatened by an old guy saying, stop taking me pictures, trying to grab my camera. Peter head to head with him. We've had it today. We're only outside of it.
Violently shaking us.
We're not doing anything wrong. It's that peaceful that Nigel Farage could turn up right now and nobody could say anything because it's dead peaceful. There's nothing like that. Yeah, where's Reform? Yesterday, Peter held a demo inside the town hall, the shopping centre, outside the council entrance. Sorted it out with police, come up with a banner, nothing extreme on the banner, just wants accountability. And he joined Reform with his mate Steve, and nobody came. Nobody came for even half an hour from Reform. Nigel Farage could have turned up. It's not wasn't extreme. He can't be linked to Tommy Robinson or anything. He can't be linked to anyone like that. Peter is an honest, normal, regular guy who just speaks out.
But why are the congregation, why is the congregation so adamant that we are the wrong ones? In the Yorkshire Post again, by heck, the Yorkshire Post have done fantastic work. And this was Saturday, February 1st, 2025. And it says, the concerns by the Right Reverend Beverly Mason called it a biblical imperative that a bishop cannot be above the law. Now this lady in a statement, Bishop Mason, who served in Yorkshire, shared a statement confirming she accused Bishop Perumblav of sexual harassment. You know, it's out here in the press. Oh, you've a lot to answer for, you Church of England, but you're going the wrong way. Dialogue. To a 71.
I want to see your face.
Did you take the glasses off?
No, it's all right. It's all right.
And she also states, throughout these past 510 days, I have remained consistent and persistent in my pursuit of proper and appropriate ecclesiastical judicial process. And a bishop, this is the lady, the Right Reverend Beverly Mason, and she says, a bishop cannot be above the law. A bishop cannot be dealt with differently than from a priest. And if anything, a bishop must be held to greater scrutiny. That is the biblical imperative. Now, it's all out here. Now, the Canon Daniel Burton says it's been dealt with. We've got a time scale here. Thank goodness for the Yorkshire Post. Abuse and retribution. How the Church of England safeguarding scandals unfolded from 1975 to 78. Justin Welby attends evangelistic crystal holiday camps aimed at children from public schools during the same period that John Smythe, a camp leader, were abusing children there. No wonder he's gone down the road, but in my opinion, we've got David Walker, Bishop of Manchester, that added a protest in the beginning of December at the Christmas markets outside Manchester Cathedral and said you need to hang up your crook and go down the road with all the others. I've had retired clergy. I've had people Chuck Warden said is a complete waste of time. But they haven't got the guts to say, you know. Well, you've got a man here that has got the guts. I have not been brought up a Christian all my life to have this scandal going on. And for the elderly man last week on the news, where the Welsh bishop is serving 4 years jail time for abusing and grooming an under 16-year-old boy. He were in tears. He said, that man married me and my wife. And this is it. Like I said down in Manchester, we've got clergy. They christen you, they marry you, they bury you, they're supposed to support you. Well, what's the support here? What are you telling Canon Daniel Burton, your congregation in here, where we have sticks threatening us while you were verbally abused? Well, what's going on? What are you frightened of? Have we done any wrong? Have we harmed any child? The people here haven't. it's the covering up. And when the Canon Earlston sat with those highly paid council officers, and she was the eyes and the ears to the bishop, what was it for? Oh, I need you to go there to listen. How far are they creeping up to the truth? How far? We need to know. We have to plan our escape. We have to plot. Well, that's what it comes out
We have to
as.
call on the crook.
But that's how it comes across, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. It is. Just let me get in. I've got to get in. Right. So guys, we're here today, right? Because the church don't listen to its parishioners, doesn't. These two people have approached the church several times each to ask the church to support them against everything that's going on in the council. Not just rape gangs, the under fives, safeguarding of the under fives. Oldham schools are an absolute disgrace, Oldham schools. So, you know, like, we want safeguarding for kids. Google up Waterhead Academy, Oasis Academy, Failsworth Academy. Google up any of them schools. There's just loads of scandal around the schools. They're horrible places. So how do we safeguard our kids when the church won't listen to us on various issues? Remember, child sexual exploitation, aka rape gangs. Under fives whistle blowing here.
Yes.
Under fives, nothing to do with rape gangs. It's
Child
safeguarding child abuse at the school, right? So, you know, it's a whole host of things to do with children. What do? We don't do nothing. People are held accountable. Our MPs, our councillors get away with whatever, covering it all up across the country, not just Oldham Council, Telford Council, Rotherham Council, every council where there's scandal over anything. Baby P. Look at the mistakes in the Baby P case. You know what I mean? It's just a scandal. This is our children, guys, you know, our family and all that. So it's a lot of different issues that we want to address today, but there's never any accountability. That's what I want to say. And these two people fight for it.
It's just like I said, it's a timeline. The Canon Daniel Burton said it's historic, it's been dealt with. Yet only last week, a Bishop of Wales was in jail for 4 years and 4 days. But I'll give you the dates when the scandal unfolded within the Church of England. 1975 to 78, 1978, 1981, 1982, 1991, 1993, 2010, 2012, 2013, 2017, 2018, 2021, November 2024, December 2024, and in January this year, the Bishop of Liverpool stands down after allegations of sexual assault and harassment, and a member of the committee that appointed him in 2023 says Mr. Cothrell and Stephen Croft, Bishop of Oxford, coerce members to change their vote despite safeguarding concerns about Perumbulum, who his accusers include the Bishop of Warrington, Bev Mason. I mean, it's absolutely scandalous what's going on. How much more coercing into the congregation where we are violently attacked, where we're violently threatened and abused, a 71-year-old and a 64-year-old lady? You know, well, why are we being attacked in such a despicable manner? We didn't do anything wrong. Why is it that the PCC of Oldham Parish Church refused to listen to our concerns? It's called dialogue. And if dialogue and the PCC members of this church have allowed us to speak, we wouldn't have needed to be here. We would not have had to have members of the public waving their sticks violently at us, abuse of the congregation, and maybe a PCC member threatening and abusing. You brought it on yourselves.
Yeah,
And I hope you're ashamed, Canon Daniel Burton, because you said you'd asked last year that we should be allowed to speak. How did you portray it? Listen, these people aren't going away. I'm the canon of this parish church. I don't want my church to be portrayed in bad light. I think we should ask them. Or did you say, oh, I think we need to just ask them and let them get on with it, and then we can get on with our life? How did you portray it? Because you made a slip up. And when I politely inform you, you stated, when I come to my senses, and you called Dolly here a conspiracist without knowing what went on. You've took this parish on. They kept it from you. They didn't tell you nothing until we raised the alarm. That is your leader, the Bishop of Manchester, David Walker. And when he threw his own archdeacon then under the bus, when he's got a letter washing his hands of it, what covering up? How high has it gone? You're here to represent Christ. This is why people come to church. We don't want no cover-up of child paedophilia ever again. And it's an hard lesson. But you're not learning the lesson. You still want to cover up. You still want to wash your hands, brush it under the carpet. And as long as I, Dorothy Lloydie and other members of public are here, it's not going to happen. So shame on the people. And it's... yeah, Dorothy can speak.
Yeah, I want to mention the Bishop of Manchester, David Walker, because he still hasn't responded to my letter of safeguarding concerns which I sent him, which I also sent to the Archbishop, who's fell on his sword, by the way, and I sent it to Canon Daniel Burton. Canon Daniel Burton said he'll try and ask the Bishop of Manchester again. Well, I don't think he should ask him. He should demand that something is done, because it'll just keep going up to the top. The Archbishop of York, the Archbishop of Newcastle or whatever, every bishop, and nothing will be done. Because I've had a member of the public saying I've not done enough for baby Peter. Baby Peter Connolly was an under 5, and one of your public out there said I haven't done enough for baby Peter Connolly. Well, believe me, I'm still fighting for them under 5s, because I was dismissed by a vicar in a church setting for raising safeguarding concerns. The Mayor of Oldham, even him, he's trying to get me out of my surgery because I've raised concerns for the under 5s. The under 5s cannot speak out for themselves, and that's why I spoke out for the under 5s, because they can't go to somebody and tell them about the abuse that were occurring within the preschool that I worked in for over 25 years. I'm not just making it up like Reverend Daniel Burton thought I were a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling the truth. I was dismissed. I've got that protective disclosure, and actually a parent has got a copy of that protective disclosure, and Ofsted should have sent it to the tribunal, and they haven't. Daniel Burton should be shouting out why, and so should the council and every other church in this country, because Ofsted...
One minute, right, so guys, why we're here is there's never no honesty, accountability or transparency in anything. When members of the public went to the church to ask them to back them up in the council against child sexual exploitation, the church ignored them. Yet all the council know it's going on, all the media know it's gone on. Jim McMahon, Andy Burnham's been up, so it's going on. But the council didn't listen to the people who went to the council. I know people who approached churches to ask them for help and they never helped. Now, I'm not going against the religion. I just want people to be honest and transparent. There is no transparency in any of it. And it's not just to do with rape gangs. This is to do with safeguarding of the under 5s.
Ofsted.
And Ofsted. And nobody listens to the members of the public who are in the middle of it all. That's why we're here, guys. We're not here to attack Christianity. We're not here to attack any other particular religion, but we just want people to be honest and accountable. That council has never been accountable for anything it's done, not just child sexual exploitation, building, wasting taxpayers' money. They've never been accountable for anything. And if we look at other councils, Birmingham Council's never accountable. It's on its knees. Bradford Council, you're getting 10% council tax hike, right? And, you know, they don't run our towns properly. And if you look at Oldham's history, it's an history of the council not dealing with issues between communities that leads to what happened with the rape gangs. That's documented, guys. You can call me whatever you want. You think I'm a conspiracy theory. Ritchie report, 2001, into the Oldham Bradford riots. One of its main points, it said, was the council not dealing with issues between communities, which led to the riots between Pakistanis and whites and in Oldham. So it's not the white guy's fault who lives on the estate. It's not the Pakistani man's fault. It's the fucking council's fault.
Yeah,
right,
and the
so
cover-up of Ofsted.
and it's the same across the country, guys. Not just with child sexual exploitation. I hear you all going on about housing. Council's responsibility. They're supposed to build houses. When we sold them off, they were supposed to build houses, and they didn't do. No one talks about this. They didn't do what they did. They sold half a dozen houses off, got the money and put them into vanity projects that were doing nothing, or give themselves pay rises. So I'm not picking on any particular section of the community. We're not here to call out a particular religion like Islam or Christianity. We want accountability and transparency. Is that too much to ask for? Is that too much to ask for? Is it?
It's the church have covered up along with the council, and that is the problem. They all use their settings. They all pay whatever, they get dividends, cuts or whatever, they can get it cheaper.
As a comment here, the Exterior Cleaner UK, as a Pakistani guy from Oldham, I 100% agree with what you just said about the council.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. And it's well documented, this. It's well documented. Misunderstood, X1. I want to hear from Dolly, who's saying, what? Right. Dolly's a girl there. Yeah, Dolly, go on.
Right, what do you want to hear about? You want to hear about the cover-up of Ofsted?
Yeah, go on.
Ofsted have covered up safeguarding failings that the council ignored. I went to the council before I went to Ofsted. I have to follow a whistleblower's guidance. I went to all the relevant bodies before I got to Ofsted. Ofsted found them to be failing. Ofsted served a 5-year penalty to the preschool for the failings. 2 months after serving that penalty in July, they served it. They re-registered them in September, 2 months after, to cover it up so that none of the parents could see that the council were failing and Ofsted were failing as well. Ofsted have failed them children. Ofsted have allowed it to go on, and Ofsted do all the country, and they're the regulating body, and the church won't speak out about them and the council won't, because the council know I went to them first before I could ever get that disclosure. I've got more than one disclosure, and one of my disclosures is regarding Vanessa George, Colin Blanchard and Angela Allen. It started off in Plymouth, where they shut down a preschool, Little Ted's. They shut down that preschool because she was sending images through her mobile phone, and one of the things I disclosed in the Red Robin preschool at Gravelow Methodist Church was the fact that the manager was allowed to use her personal mobile phone and allowed her living boyfriend to have access to the computer and all the children's details. I've got disclosures of some of the staff's insurance numbers. I've got protection orders from the Ministry of Justice on a fella who lives in Northumberland. And they've all refused to help the kids, but yet they've given me all these disclosures and data protection breaches. It was all going on. There was emotional abuse, physical abuse, and there was neglect. And the neglect is still outstanding with the church. That's why you say it's historical, Reverend Daniel Burton. Neglect is something that hasn't been dealt with. That's why it's still going on. They ask them children, the under 5s, are still being neglected, and this church aren't bothered, because as long as people want to get in the church schools, they will go into them and they won't bother. They'll just let them take the money, and it's all about the money. The money is the currency that speaks in the church, the gospel.
If our councils and officials were held accountable for the failings that they do, go on, get in the camera.
Yeah, sorry.
The failings that they do, then people just wouldn't abuse kids. If we treated them worse and they got serious sentences, people wouldn't do this. But these issues have never been dealt with, even though the government and the councils knew they were happening. Telford, Rotherham, everybody knew what were happening. In Rotherham, it was the council was the kind of place that if you spoke out, you got threatened and intimidated. You lost your bonuses and stuff like that. So people were feared to. Also, people were feared to speak out with political correctness, not upsetting a section of the community. The police failed and arrested mums and dads of people who were trying to get the kids back. Massive lot of failings across the board. Now, again, I'm not particular picking on any race, religion, Christianity or Islam or anything, but I want people held accountable, and they just wouldn't do these things. If we held the people accountable, there would have been Cyril Smith wouldn't have abused hundreds of kids across North Manchester from Oldham, Middleton and Rochdale. He wouldn't have abused any of them. And remember, even though he abused the kids, there was an inquiry and the then Labour leader Richard Farnell, the then Labour leader Richard Farnell, the inquiry found that he knew about the abuse and never said nothing. This is a Labour council leader in Rochdale, and it's nothing to do with Islam or Pakistanis. This was white kids who were being abused by Cyril Smith and others, and the council leader knew, and he never held accountable. He went working under Joe Anderson in Liverpool, and they're now up for scandal of 100 million going of taxpayers' money. These people are crooks. They don't represent the normal working class people in the towns. They don't. And I want change. That's why I'm standing in elections myself. That's why Peter, who's been on, has stood in elections himself. So he goes and joins Reform, and they couldn't even spend half an hour with him yesterday while he was in Oldham. Nothing extreme. He had a banner about accountability, honesty and transparency, and nobody stood with him. Well, I'm here, John Lawrence, National Housing Party. I'm here, and I've always been here. More or less, always been here 90% of the time. I'm here filming. But yeah, so, you know, we want to protect our children in all stages of life. Dorothy's story is under 5's preschool. Child sexual exploitation revolves around grooming gangs. Cyril Smith and the stuff they do in Rochdale against boys who were in homes in Rochdale area, white boys mainly, who were abused by Cyril Smith and other people. We want accountability for this. We live in England, and you know, we're supposed to be one of the top countries in the world. Do you know that more kids get took into care in England than any other country in Europe? In Europe, Romania, hardly any kids get to. We take 2,500 kids off the street and throw them into care every year around that amount in the UK, and that's absolutely ridiculous considering it doesn't happen in other places in Europe. You know, and you know, if you talk that there is a child trafficking thing, I'll agree with you. We have on the ground veteran run child trafficking squad who are in Ukraine now, snatching kids and bringing them back to Europe and the UK right now. Pegasus Ops on TikTok right now is in Ukraine and protecting kids and bringing them back, and he does this all over Europe, but he's on the ground in Ukraine. We're going to get him on TikTok soon. So this is a veteran run child trafficking squad who go and take our kids back. So 2,500 a year in England, biggest amount in Europe. I don't think the child services really have anything to say. They go into situations wrong. Let's look at Her Hills in Leeds the other month, last year. They went in not being able, people went in not being able to communicate with these people. When they did finally have a meeting, there were 3 translators there. So that just tells you a bit about the something. And going on to a segregated area like Her Hills, and you think that nothing's going to happen. Anyone with any sense would know that situation would explode. You know what I mean? And you know, police go round to people's houses while they're taking kids during the day. There's loads of videos where you can see kids being took during the day in front of the screaming parents, in front of streets full of people. Now, there must be a different way to do things other than that. So we're here to protect our kids, all all issues, child sex, rape gangs, homes abuse, Cyril Smith, that happened in Rochdale, which covered kids from Oldham, Rochdale, Middleton, all North Manchester area. Kids in them home got abused by Cyril Smith, and there's never been any accountability. He died, then they took his lordship off him. But what about the people who lied? What about Richard Farnell? Well, he's dead. But he was never held to account for lying to an inquiry. But as soon as you say something, fucking police are at your door. As soon as you put something on social media, the police are at your door. Yeah, they're not arresting councillors or council leaders when they lie.
They cover up for professionals.
Richard Farnell inquiry into Rochdale abuse. I don't say things that aren't true. Look it up, guys. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Richard Farnell, Rochdale leader, Cyril Smith. Look into it.
Enabler.
I'm back on, John. I was speaking to another gentleman there. It's Yorkshire Post again, and this was not like the Canon Daniel Burton. It's historic, it's dealt with, it's gone out. Oh no, it's like sweeping things under carpet. Yorkshire Post, February 8th, 2025. This year, a couple of months ago. Call for change over Church of England scandal. Call for change. And I'll say once again, Archbishop rejects bullying claim, and this lady here, the Right Reverend Beverly Mason, was groped by a former bishop. Groped. And then you say you want to, then we're getting members of the congregation slagging us off. The church has done a very good job in coercing the congregation. Done a very good job. They've been brainwashed. But unfortunately, I am not like that. I have my own beliefs. I have strong beliefs. And had the vicars, the clergy, the bishops, kept it in their trousers and not let Satan rule their head, none of this would have happened. They've succumbed to Satan. So much for the faith. So much for the faith. We're all tempted. We all manage to control it. We are in a society that is dangerously coming out of control. And I agree with the Daniel Burton that said we have made this world, but you are part of it, Canon Daniel Burton. You haven't put enough pressure, and as you, as the ordained, whatever it is, Reverend of this parish, you should not succumb or be coerced.
Right, yeah, can you say Church of England, not the church, so you don't group all Christian dominations?
Yeah, Church of England.
Yeah, Church of England. Yeah. It does normally say that. It does normally say that.
Yeah. It's just scandalous. It's scandalous what's going on. If we've done anything wrong, I'm just saying we'll get to know. But how can you not hold clergy to account?
Yeah, the same as we just want. No, but are you not getting it, guys? I don't want to see any cross-chatting. You're not getting it. Nobody is held accountable. Not the police, not the councillors, not the church, not the social services. Nobody has been held accountable for anything. I'm an expert on these kind of things. There's been no accountability in Rotherham, Telford, Oldham, Rochdale. There's been no accountability anywhere, guys. Now, that's what we want. We want accountability, honesty and transparency. If council would be transparent, people won't be so angry. But councils aren't transparent. There's big scandals across Yorkshire. Look at the baby P scandal in Yorkshire. That was specifically social services failings. No one's been held accountable. So I don't want to see any side chat in there about anything particular, but there's no accountability of anyone. Social services, the police, the church, the councillors, nobody is held account, and even members of the public aren't held to account either, and nobody's held to account. So if no one's held to account, then you're gonna keep committing that crime, aren't you, thinking that like you're immune, you can get away with it. We want people to be held to account. Look at my YouTube, NHPUK TV. Accountability is one of the biggest things I go on about, transparency and honesty. That's what Peter wants. If the councils, the police would be a bit more transparent and honest with us, we wouldn't have to protest here. If the police had done the job in the first place to do with the rape gangs, there won't be any protesting now because people would be in jail and it'd be a well dealt thing. I don't want any more inquiries. I want them to start arresting people. They've got evidence to arrest people and start the process through court, whether it be police officers, counsellors, social services, the church, the people who groom the kids who got away with it. They've got all these details now, but then they want to do an inquiry. And I'm sorry, the inquiries don't work. Nothing's worked on him. We haven't learned any lessons. Sarah Champion, former Member of Parliament, Rotherham, Alexi J, who done the GA's report, Maggie Oliver, and several others have said that these reports are rubbish and they're never acted upon. Go and look into it. I don't lie, mate. Don't make things up. Factual stuff there.
It's sad that people such as the congregation here, they don't know the full facts. We don't want to be here. I never in a month of Sundays would have ever believed that I would be calling the Church of England, you know.
Me
but
too.
Unfortunately, it's had to come to light. There's been so much cover-up, so much sleaze.
They are, Tomo, they are. They're all accountable, and honestly, there's evidence now to arrest police officers, counsellors, social services people, professionals who supposed to work within our communities, chief executive officers, all sorts of people. We have evidence now that these people can be arrested, but they're never going to be arrested. And I want them arresting me. They soon arrest you, Tomo, for putting a full bloody post on Facebook. So they arrested. They didn't arrest. They come visiting an old woman because she wants the MP who wants old people dead, so they're out of the way, that she wants him to resign, and the police come to her house. The police come to her house, guys. That's all. She didn't say she wanted him unalived. She never said she wanted him locking up. She said she did a public post or wherever, said she wanted him to resign, and the police visited her. Yeah, we've got police officers, social services workers, counsellors, members of the public, all walking round, have abused our kids, and they've got evidence on all them. So what's going on, guys? What's going on, honestly?
It's just like the clergy over in Blackburn last year. He was paid a 6-figure salary to walk, to disappear. Because he was
out of a scandal, away from a scandal.
He was deemed to be a threat to young children. Now, Dolly gets nothing. Dolly doesn't get nothing.
I can't even get me benefits. 7 years without benefits because I've whistleblown.
Now the police.
Yes, we was. Peter was outside the council entrance in Oldham yesterday with a big banner. I went up about 3:30, did some videoing, but yeah, we was.
We're in a very dangerous world. We're in a very corrupt world, and unless a few people, and I would have thought that the PCC of this Church of England church.
What? 1 minute, Ella, you're wrong. You're wrong. I am speaking out, Ella. But I'm also running in local elections in the Hollingwood ward of Oldham, and I am confident of getting a council seat. We've got 16 independent councillors in Oldham, which is unheard of, and more people are standing up against the mainstream councils. A big change. So I am doing something, and I am being heard. My social media goes all out. It's watched by all the council, all the police and that. All the main heads, all the councillors will be watching my social media because I call them all out, even the independents if they don't stand the way. But like we've got so-called councillors who don't listen to Dolly and Peter and who don't support them. I've called them out. I called out Mark Ince, a serving councillor who sided with the Labour Party, who said that he hadn't received any communication from Dolly. He had through me. And I've got a receipt email of him emailing me back. So he knows about Dolly's case, so why is he lying? So yeah, I am doing something, Ella, and anyone else in the chat who just says negative things, which is more than what you lot are doing. I run my own political party. I've run 3 local elections, confident of getting a local council seat. Pete's also been a candidate running in elections and that. Maybe Dolly's progressed to being a public speaker, so we are doing something, and people do listen to us.
All I can say is there will be members, there will be viewers watching John Lawrence, National Housing Party, who's the only man who comes out and films to get it out there, and I thank him so very much and wish him all the best. But there will be always negativity, the negativity that we've been shown today. We've done nothing wrong. We're holding people who have been corrupt, sleazy to account. While this town is the most deprived town in England, and yet people are making a good living. I thank this church for sending a food parcel to Dolly every week, but it was only because of our outspokenness that it happened. It would never have happened.
Never got anything.
Now, when I went to church last night, our parish priest says that unless people speak out, things won't change, and that's all I'm doing. I want to see the change that should never have happened. We should have had none of this. The Church of England, the Catholic Church, whoever church is, should have openly brought it out. It's come to our attention that we have had abhorrent crimes done by some of our clergy, and for that we are so very, very sorry to the people involved.
I've got to say something. You can research it, but it's not just Christian clergy in Oldham who abuse kids. There's Islamic clergy in Werner.
Catholic.
There's Catholic clergy.
Methodists.
They've all done it. I'm not picking on one particular religion. They've all done it in Oldham, and there's documented cases of all them kind of things happening in Oldham and Rochdale, unfortunately. So it's a bit endemic across the board. So I just want to get that in.
Yeah, I mean, I even pulled my religion up, Catholic Church, and I said to my parish priest, you know, the worst thing the Catholic Church ever did. He said, what's that? I said, you covered up. And his head went down. He said, I know. So I'm not picking on one church. I'm picking on the failure that's done wrong to the victims, to all those who will keep trying to cover it up.
Yes,
That's
Jay, Ashton as well, mate.
That's
Ashton
all
as
I'm
well.
doing. Anyway, John, there's 10 minutes left on police. Dolly's going to give another blast on megaphone.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming.
No worries,
John.
Peter, honestly.
Thank you so much.
Anything, guys, anything. This isn't just about one thing. Dolly's talked to you about safeguarding in the under-5s in the preschool. Oldham schools are generally a disgrace. The secondary schools and a lot of the smaller schools are a disgrace. It's well documented. And obviously we just had a child sexual exploitation scandal linked to Rochdale and linked to Shabir Ahmed, a Pakistani man, linked to all the counsellors. No one's ever been held accountable. Yet if you say something on Facebook against it all, the police are soon at your door. Just remember that. So this isn't just one issue, it's a load of issues, guys, and they're all on my YouTube. Dolly's social media's full of it on Facebook. Peter always speaks about it. NHPUK TV on YouTube. Go and look at it. There's longer videos. You can see some of the council videos where they're all calling each other's names.
If you want to know the despicability and why a person like me, it's not just the church. If you Google YouTube, Oldham Council do not care for the living of the dead. Part of my family had to be exhumed because they let the burial ground in Crompton Cemetery flood. And
George just said this is why we need to get rid of the behaviour policy in Waterhead Academy. One of the schools that has failed, George, as you will know yourself, so you know I'm not talking bullshit, don't you? Thank you for that, George.
Well, stand wherever you want.
Thank you for that, George. Waterhead Academy, it's just come out of special measures from inadequate. It's been like that for several years. And
Dolly's just going to have to speak.
Yeah, go on. I'm get our Dolly on.
Yeah, the reason I came out and spoke is because it is the under-5s and they can't speak for themselves. I remember baby Peter Connolly very well and what happened. And I've even had people in the community telling me that I didn't do enough for baby Peter. Connolly, but at the end of the day, I'm still fighting for them under fives because the church don't think they matter. But every child matters, every one of them. And it's not about anything to do with colour or anything, religion or anything like that. We've come to Central Oldham because Oldham is being failed. Oldham's being failed by the council and Ofsted, and your children are what they're failing. Your children matter, and it's important that your children are protected, and I cannot understand why the church don't want to do it. They've got the gospel, they've got that on the side, but they don't want to do it. I've been called by various people in my community. In fact, I've been ostracised in up in Thornham, St James's and St Mary's. They tried to stop me going on a safeguarding course, what Abby Cleffane Wilson put on, and she failed to turn up. Abby Cleffane Wilson is still the safeguarding diocesan officer. She still ignored me since 2016, along with the Archbishop's safeguarding officer. The bishop, they won't do anything, but they have a duty to do it. They just take that stipend and a pension. My pension, I won't get a pension because I've been denied employment opportunities and I'm being starved by gov.uk because it's Ofsted is a government body that's failing your children. Ofsted will continue to fail your children until somebody speaks out. Now, when I went to tribunal, they didn't believe me because my ex-employer wore a dog collar, just like Reverend Daniel Burton wears and all the other ones that have ignored me. Caroline Venables, there's a list. Right up to the top, the Archbishop of Canterbury who fell on his sword. He should have done something, and they wait till it gets to him and he falls on his sword. They're waiting for the Archbishop of York to drop. They're all going to drop, unless, like this lady from the Bishop of Newcastle has said, if at least one person with some steel to grasp that nettle and tackle it, it will never be dealt with. It just takes one. Now, Daniel Burton says he can't do anything. Well, if he can't do anything, he needs to step down and give it to somebody that can. We want somebody with a can-do attitude, somebody who can do it for the children, because it's the children that are the future of Oldham.
So,
all you're bothered about is
the reform, one of the main reform guys has just phoned Peter. So he's obviously seen my videos on social media, calling him out saying why didn't he come down and support Peter. So, you know, things do happen. I'm running in local elections. My name's John Lawrence, National Housing Party, United Kingdom. If you go to my description, my link to my YouTube's there's hundreds of videos on about councils, council meetings, my own videos. I do two weekly shows. One is Party Talk and the other is a veteran show, Tuesday and Friday. Try to get involved with everyone, and I'm running in local elections, so please like me stream, go to my YouTube, subscribe please, watch some of my videos. There's hundreds of videos on, but we'll go in soon. Anyway, this is Dorothy Lord.
And nobody would come with me to get that USB back. The police still haven't got it back. The police have just let it happen because they're in too close with OMBC, the council, and the church are the same. Because they let
yes, Melinda, thank you very much, love. Thank you, Melinda, thank you.
And they get all sorts at the expense of the children being failed. Please, somebody get a human rights solicitor or any solicitor just to get me in court, because I'll spill the beans to all of them. I'm not scared of the gospel. I've never been scared of the truth. I just don't win a church anymore because I don't trust them.
Sharia. Sorry, it's Christian here, Church of England, and that's what we support in our party. We want more people going to community centres related to the church. You don't have to be religious to go to the community centre. You don't have to be religious to support the old people's knitting group. You don't have to be religious to work on the homeless project at the church. So let's think about that, yeah. And Church of England all the way. Thank you very much.
Anytime you know where I live, you can bring me food back, you can come and I'll show you the evidence. But like Jim McMahon, you probably won't want to look at it.
Sometimes, yeah, I do.
Please.
1 minute.
So if there's anybody who wants to help me, now is the time to act. Now is the time to safeguard them children. Now is the time for change. Now is the time to say, yeah, we've learned the lesson, we've learned the gospel. Yeah, we'll protect our children, because every child matters, every single one of them. They're more important than the loss of them.
Asking to speak to PCC.
Right. Whoa. 2 secs we've got, guys. Well, no one else is listening. Both Dolly and Peter have been to the church separately. They've contacted the church leaders separately. Church leaders have ignored them. Now, the initial thing that they both went was safeguarding issues and just been totally ignored, guys. Dolly's is not even... It's nothing to do with rape gangs. It's under 5s safeguarding in a preschool. And Peter wanted the church to speak out in the council in support of local people who wanted to know about the child sexual exploitation scandal, which has gone on, which Andy Burnham's been up, which everyone knows gone on, and the church didn't do it. And that's the initial thing that we're here for. If you can get that, you'd expect that if you go to the police that they act on what you've said, but the police haven't. So there's policemen out there who can be convicted of ignoring people's wishes at the beginning. Remember, they get away with that. As soon as you say something on Facebook, they're coming for you. John Lawrence, National Housing Party. Like and subscribe, share the live. See you later.
Can you find that Matthew?